The morning sun had just begun to rise over the Carter family farm in rural Texas. The golden rays lit up acres of land dotted with crops, tractors, and barns. Among the morning chores and the clucking of chickens, 17-year-old Emily Carter was already awake, helping her father repair a fence that had been knocked down during last night's storm. Her hands, though calloused from years of working the land, moved with the precision and care of someone far older. She was quiet, focused, and tough, traits she'd inherited from her father, John Carter, a decorated Gulf War veteran turned farmer. When the work was done, Emily walked to the old shed behind the barn. Inside sat a worn-out wooden case holding a bolt-action Winchester rifle. It had belonged to her grandfather, passed down to her father, and now it was hers. Every afternoon, after the chores were done and her homework was complete, Emily would walk out into the backfield where her father had set up targets made from tin cans and painted boards. It was there, in the quiet rustle of prairie winds and chirping birds, that she trained. Her father had taught her everything: how to breathe through the shot, how to read the wind, how to squeeze the trigger instead of pulling it. But most importantly, he taught her discipline and calm. Emily had never shot in competition, but her father often told her, "You're better than most out there, not because of the gun, but because you listen to it." One day, while visiting the local feed store, Emily spotted a flyer pinned to the bulletin board near the register. Annual County Fair Shooting Challenge, open class, all ages, grand prize $5,000, and a spot at the State Precision Training Camp. Her eyes widened. That training camp had produced Olympic shooters. She stood there staring at the paper, and her father noticed. "You want to give it a shot?" he asked. She nodded slowly, hesitant but curious. "You think I could?" He smiled. "I know you could." The week leading up to the competition, Emily trained every evening. She didn't have the fancy equipment others might bring. No scopes, no carbon fiber stocks, no designer vests, just her old Winchester, a box of hand-loaded bullets, and raw talent. The morning of the competition came. The shooting range was part of the county fairgrounds, usually used for rodeo events and tractor pulls, but that day it had been transformed into a precision shooting arena. Spectators gathered under shade tents. Vendors sold lemonade and pulled pork sandwiches. A dozen competitors stood in line, dressed in tactical gear and holding rifles that looked like something from a military movie. Emily stepped out of her dad's old pickup truck, wearing a flannel shirt, jeans, and boots. Her rifle was slung over her shoulder in a homemade leather case her grandfather had stitched before he passed. She drew looks immediately, some curious, others condescending. One boy nudged his friend. "Hey, check out Annie Oakley over there." Another competitor, Hunter Briggs, the reigning local champion and social media show-off, smirked. Didn't know this was a costume contest. Emily ignored them and signed her name on the registration sheet. The range officer handed her a badge number and a quick set of rules. She nodded respectfully and walked to the warm-up zone where her father was waiting. "You good?" he asked. She nodded. "Just nerves." "Let them sharpen you," he said. "Every one of those guys thinks they've already won. That's their weakness. Yours is knowing you have nothing to prove." Her round was scheduled second to last. She watched the others go, quick shots, loud cheers, and digital boards lighting up with scores in the 90s. Then came Hunter, who strutted to the line with his chrome-barreled semi-auto. He hit nearly every bullseye and received thunderous applause. His score, 98 out of 100. Then it was Emily's turn. She walked to the shooting line slowly, blocking out the whispers and snickers. The wind was still. The sun was behind her. She placed the rifle gently on the rest, adjusted the iron sights, and took a deep breath. In the crowd, someone muttered, "This is going to be quick." Emily squeezed the trigger. The tin target spun violently, and the scoreboard flashed. Bullseye! She chambered another round. Bullseye again. A hush fell over the crowd. Then the cameras came out, and Emily Carter just kept shooting. The 10th shot rang out across the range, followed by complete silence. The scoreboard updated instantly. Another bullseye. Emily Carter slowly lowered her rifle and took a step back. People were still staring, unsure if they should clap or question what they had just seen. The entire shooting sequence had taken only minutes, but it had left a ripple across the fairgrounds like thunder after lightning. The final score appeared on the digital board in red, 100 out of 100. A perfect score. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Some people began to cheer, others rushed to check the scoreboard again, as if their eyes were playing tricks. The girl in boots and flannel, with a rifle older than most competitors' parents, had just broken the county record and outshot the reigning champion by 2 points. Hunter Briggs, still standing by the tent sipping from his water bottle, froze. His jaw clenched. Someone near him muttered, "She beat him. By a clean shot." His confident smirk had vanished, replaced by disbelief. He tried to act unfazed, but the crowd's attention had shifted completely to Emily. She walked quietly back to the bench where her father stood. He didn't say a word, just nodded and handed her a bottle of water. Emily smiled, trying to hide the tremble in her hands, not from fear now, but from the rush of adrenaline. Her heart was still racing. After a short break, the announcer took the mic and called everyone back for the awards. His voice had more energy than before. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've been announcing this event for 12 years, and I've never seen a score like that, especially from someone who's never competed before." Emily stood on the podium, still stunned, as the gold medal was placed around her neck. Her photo was taken a dozen times. Several reporters covering the fair swarmed to her for interviews. She answered softly, modestly, and always gave credit to her father and grandfather. One older man in a suit approached them quietly. "John Carter?" he asked. Her father nodded. The man extended his hand. "I'm Richard Hale from the Texas State Shooting Academy. We sponsor young shooters who show promise. Your daughter doesn't just show promise. She's a prodigy." John looked at Emily, then back at the man. "What are you offering?" "A full scholarship. Housing, equipment, elite training, and direct mentorship with Olympic coaches. We'd like her to start this summer." Emily blinked, stunned. The only sound she managed was, "Really?" "You've earned it," the man said with a smile. The crowd continued to cheer as the announcement was made publicly. The same people who had ignored or mocked her at the beginning of the day were now applauding like they'd known her all along. Hunter approached quietly while people cleared the stage. He scratched the back of his neck and looked at her. "Hey, I just wanted to say, you were incredible out there. I underestimated you." Emily looked at him for a moment, nodded and said, "Thanks." Then she turned to help her dad pack up her rifle. That evening, as the sun set behind the fairground lights, Emily sat in the truck next to her father with the medal in her hand and the scholarship letter in her lap. "You know," her father said, breaking the silence, "when I told your grandfather you were learning to shoot, he smiled and said, 'That girl's gonna break more than targets.'" She looked at him, smiled wide, and whispered, "He was right." They drove home down the dusty country road, a new chapter waiting ahead of them, one where the farm girl with dirt on her boots was no longer just a name on a registration sheet. She was a champion, a rising star, and proof that true talent doesn't need an expensive rifle, just a steady hand and an unshakable spirit. And in her heart she knew this was only the beginning.